Okay, you guys don't know this about me, but I spent $25,000 to make my first movie with my friends. And you guys can watch that today for free on Film Shortage. You guys, these are the friends I made my movie with.
Hi, Serena and Ethan.
Hi, baby, yes.
They're a married couple and they work together. They're the most amazing filmmakers. I wanted to get into the nitty gritty, the juicy stuff. How much money did we spend and how did we get that money?
Oh boy.
We spent about $25,000. And we got a portion of that from personal investors, like private investors. And then the other part was from our bank accounts.
Actually, a fair amount of the portion that we self-funded came from our wedding fund, which sounds probably nutso, but you know, it was the right move for us at the time. We needed to make this movie.
So you guys did postpone the wedding though?
That's right.
I still put a ring on it, so it's fine.
Originally, we wrote a role for you, right? We had initially intended for you to play one of the characters, and the timing didn't quite work out that way. But you ended up being our associate producer. You were absolutely invaluable when we were writing the script.
Yeah,
and
checking my Spanish.
Yeah, that's right, checking Spanish. And you ran our casting process. You auditioned some of our key actors who have gone on to have these like incredible careers. So what was that like?
I know! It's amazing because as an actor, you get to see, when you get to see what's behind the casting process, you're like, oh, I get it. I get why people don't get cast right away because they come into the room and they're just not it. They don't have the energy or they don't have that it factor. As cringy as that might sound, it really does matter when you come into the audition room.
I think we were in Mexico at the time.
Yeah, we were in Mexico City.
You were zooming us in, and I remember like relying so heavily on your judge of character and your ability to gauge the chemistry in the room. Like we had chemistry reads, right, between two of the characters, and we landed on Noam Shapiro and Brisa Covarrubias. And your presence in the room, Esther, allowed us to really like vibe out that chemistry and to make sure that they work together as beautifully as they do.
What did you just say to my wife?
You could tell they clicked right away.
All the good things that happened on set, there were many, many good things, but there were a couple of things that might have not gone well. Do you guys want to share that with us?
This wasn't something that went wrong. This is something that went absolutely insane on our set. We were shooting all the scenes in the car. We had a holding area in a park.
Oh,
and somehow this dude found his way onto the set, obviously high out of his mind and like, you're like crystal or something. He was holding like a 3-foot-long shard of broken mirror. And just like walked up to our makeup artist and started talking to her.
Very casually, like he wasn't threatening or aggressive. He was just holding it in his hand, having this like casual conversation.
But it's basically a machete. So I walk over and I'm like, hey, how can I help you? And he's like, you guys are famous, right? So famous. And I was like, you know what? We're not that cool. Nah. And then he got bored and went away.
People don't realize there's sometimes things you cannot control no matter what. If you're filming in a park, you're filming in a public area, there are people watching and they could be making noise. They could be trying to be in the frame. It's the production that needs to handle it. And I'm so glad that you guys just handle it in a way where nothing bad happened because that could have gone so wrong.
We had a shot that we only had one opportunity to get in camera. We call it a one take Johnny. We only had one take to get this pivotal key moment.
My bestie cheated on her man, so I went and I told him. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. After she told me that she had been cheating on her boyfriend with that trans guy, the one that she tried to set me up on a date with, I couldn't believe it. So I started questioning her. I asked her when they met, how long they've been seeing each other, and that's when she told me that she's been cheating on her boyfriend for the entirety of the relationship. A week after she became his girlfriend, she started hooking up with the other guy. I told her that she was not right for doing what she was doing. If you're wondering why I'm so upset at her for cheating on her man, let me tell you why. Her boyfriend is completely devoted to her. As soon as he's finished at work, he tries to go see her every single day, constantly texting her throughout the day, even calls her at night just to say goodbye. And because he started helping her out with the rent, she's able to live by herself without roommates. He also started paying for her car insurance and her cell phone bill. He even offered to pay for her nails. I've met some shitty ass men in my life and he is not one of them. That's when I told her that what she was doing was fucked up and she needed to stop. When she got up in my face and told me that I needed to stay out of her business. She had never spoken to me like that or even gotten in my face like that before. Something is up with her and I can't put my finger on it. And I told her she was being disrespectful to me and her boyfriend. boyfriend, she almost came at me. But she stopped herself, thank God. I went straight over to her boyfriend's job and told him everything. I don't think it's fair that he needs to be paying for her bills or treating her like a queen, while she's running around with another dude. No thank you. When I told him, he started to cry. He asked me if I was 1000% sure, and I said yes because she had just confessed it to me. But now I have bigger problems. He went and broke up with her, and now my bestie's coming at me. He's getting people to bully me online. She even had her brother follow me for an entire day. When I tried to reach out, she blocked me. She actually broke one of my car windows. What the heck should I do? Did I do wrong? Or was I right? My best friend cheated on her man, so I went and I told him. Am I the asshole for doing that? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. My bestie's always been a bitch. She does whatever she wants, whenever she wants. Literally nobody can tell her otherwise. Now, her and I usually get along all the time. My bestie has a bad temper on her. She can be very judgmental, and every time she starts telling me what to do or what I shouldn't do, I would just do it. But about a year ago, I started defending myself and talking back. And she does not like this. If she's this way with me, can you imagine how she's with her man? She controls every single aspect of their relationship. She even tells him when he can go to the gym, who he can be friends with, where he can go by himself. I mean, it's unbelievable that she's been able to retain this man. The problem is that he's just so in love with her. You see, he's like a 7 and she's like a 9. But he's a really good guy and she's taken advantage of that. A little while ago, she pressured me into going on a double date. And the guy she set me up with was a trans man. He didn't even have the decency to tell me when I got there. I was stunned and actually couldn't speak. After the date, my bestie confessed that she had hooked up with a trans guy. How dare she do that to her man? Started seeing a side of my bestie I don't like. So I took matters into my own hands. Go to part 2. My girlfriend abandoned me on my birthday so she could go hang out with her guy best friend. Part 2. After I told her I did not want her best friend coming to my birthday getaway, she threw a tantrum, called him, and complained about me in front of me to him. I was actually so hurt that I grabbed the phone and hung up. She looked at me and told me that I had no right to take the phone from her and blah, blah, blah. That's when I broke down into tears and asked her point blank, do you have a crush on this guy? Immediately, she said no. But then she told me she had a confession. She proceeded to tell me that they both lost each other's V cards to each other. And that's why they were so close. And that because they're trying to work on their relationship, I should let him come to my birthday trip, the one I'm paying for. I asked her if she had feelings for him once again, and she said no. And then I asked her if he has feelings for her. This girl just stayed quiet. Then she had the gall to say, what if he does? Is that really that bad? I actually had to explain to her why that would be a bad situation. Finally, my birthday comes around and she is nowhere to be seen. I was waiting for her in my car to drive to the cabin with her. An hour later, after she's supposed to be there, she sends me a text saying that she's gonna stay with him and that hopefully this distance will make our relationship stronger. Instead, I took my whole family to the cabin and now I'm ignoring her. Now she's been calling me nonstop. I took her not showing up as a breakup, but she wants me back. What should I do? Story time about how my sister kicked me out of her baby shower. Don't get me wrong, I love my sister, but her husband and her are extremely stingy. When she told the family that she was pregnant, we were all incredibly happy for her. I was so happy that I decided to help her plan the baby shower. And then her best friend jumped on board, so we were both helping out with the baby shower. I asked my sister to make me a Pinterest board so that I could know exactly what colors she wanted and what the theme should be. I even went ahead and hired caterers, an entire wait staff, and my sister's best friend was in charge of all the decorations, which this girl put her own money into. This baby shower was the most curated, beautiful baby shower you could ever imagine in your entire life. We even had a 7-foot table filled with charcuterie board stuff. Charcuterie boards are really expensive. When we started the planning, my sister's husband decided to foot the bill. But me being the best sister that I am, and her best friend being a very good friend, we also decided to pitch in. But then the shit hit the fan. A week before the baby shower, her husband started asking us about how much everything cost. We even made a spreadsheet about all the costs and receipts. That's when he decided that he didn't want to pay for any of it. He said that we chose the most expensive things, and that because they didn't plan it, they shouldn't have to pay for it. Mind you, he said this to us after we had spent 8 hours decorating the entire backyard. I looked at my sister to see her reaction, and she had none. Instead of defending us, my sister did not say a word. I went up straight to her and I said, are you kidding me? Are you guys actually joking right now? To which she said, nobody asked you to plan this. I broke down into tears because I had taken days off of work to try to plan the whole thing. Part 2 is up. Story time about how I married a guy who was already married. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's on Instagram. Even though I knew he was already married to somebody else, and even though I knew he lied to me about already being married, I still went ahead and married him. I was completely obsessed with him. Because he was already legally married to somebody else, we decided to use a different name for him, and somehow it worked. We actually drove 5 hours away to get married, used fake names, filed in a different state, and then we drove back to our hometown, where literally no one knew we were married. It was our little secret. But then the poo hit the fan. He kept promising that he would leave his wife. But one day, I'm having dinner with my parents at a restaurant, and guess who shows up? My husband with his wife. And boy, did they look happy. He was all over her, kissing her neck and her hands. Not only until he realized that I was in the restaurant did he stop. Then he actually had the audacity to come to my table, introduce himself to my parents, and tell him that he knew me from my job. All the while his wife was sitting at the table looking at me. And in that moment, I knew that she knew something was up. It's like she stared straight into my soul. She must have seen the way that I was looking at him because she ran up to the table and introduced herself to me and my parents. When she tried to shake my hand, I didn't shake it back. My parents told me I was being rude, so I forced myself to shake her hand. 2 days later, she calls me and asks me what's up. But I lied and said that her husband was just a friend. Then I got an idea. I decided to be her friend. I asked her out to coffee and we had a great time. And little did she know that she was sitting with her husband's new wife. I feel like this way I can try to control their relationship from the inside. I confessed everything to my mom and she thinks I'm crazy. I think I'm a little crazy too. Am I completely wrong for this? Story time about how I married a married man. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Years ago, I met this guy that I thought was really cute. Stupid and naive, and I believed everything he said. I worked in customer service. He came into my job one day and just started flirting with me and I was like thrilled. My job was really boring. This cute guy comes in and just starts talking to me and I just fall in love. I'm not exaggerating. I know it's pathetic. I couldn't believe that he was talking to me and that he was interested in me. The next day he asked me for my phone number and I gave it to him. Went on one date and I was legit in love. It starts to get creepy. He was 20 years older than me and you could say he GROOMED'd me. See, I didn't know what was happening. I was 19, I had never had a boyfriend and I barely had ever been kissed. Played me like a fiddle. After 2 weeks of going on dates, he finally kissed me. I knew that he was the man I wanted to marry. But when I told my coworker about him, she told me that he was married. I asked him about it. He told me that my coworker must have been mistaking him for his brother because his brother and him had similar names and the brother was married. 3 days later, I asked one of his friends about it. That's when his friend tells me that he doesn't even have a brother and that he had been married for 15 years to a girl that was also 20 years younger than him. Even knowing this, I still married him. And you'll never guess how. Part 2 is already up. My husband humiliated me at our wedding by violently shoving my face into the cake. Claiming this is not my story time. Also, I have COVID and I'm repeating content because I was told I need to rest. I'm sorry. That's when he grabbed my neck so hard and pushed my face into the cake. Did it so violently that I almost got knocked out. And I was able to pull myself away from the cake. I started falling backward and that's when my family started running up to me. Before I could fall, my father caught me midair. What was my husband doing? Just looking at me. That's when he yells out, "You are so dramatic." No one, and I mean no one, not even his parents, thought that it was funny. Everyone at the wedding surrounded me asking if I was okay. Even the servers offered a chair and ice. Luckily, my bridesmaids took me to the bathroom, and when I saw the state of my face and my hair, I burst into tears. $6,000 down the drain. $6,000 I was only able to enjoy a third of. The night wasn't even halfway through at that point. That's when they washed my hair and my face. I still decided to make the best of it. I spent the rest of the night dancing without makeup and hair. Did he apologize? Kind of. He said, "My bad." Didn't expect everyone to react like that. And he actually complained that now he was the bad guy. The following day, my parents convinced me to get the wedding annulled. But now he's almost my ex. I was about to leave my family to move to his country. A man that is violent towards you under the guise of a joke actually hates you. He wants to hurt you. Self-care sister out. My husband humiliated me at our wedding by shoving my face into our cake. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Also, I have COVID and I was told that I need to rest, so I'm not filming. I have to repeat content. I'm sorry. I love you guys though. Before we got engaged, my husband and I had only known each other for 3 months. We actually met when we were traveling, so we didn't even live in the same country. This was my first mistake. After we met, he asked me to come visit him again. And I did. I didn't ask him to come visit me. He asked me. Did I pay for my own flight? Yes. Did I split the bill with him? Yes. But here's the thing. He was doing everything else right. He was treating me well, buying me gifts, giving me so much attention, acting like he was already my husband. We got engaged 3 months later and none of my friends or my family knew him. And we decided to have a destination wedding. This meant the only time my parents met him was at our wedding, and my friends. Before our wedding, he and I had not lived together. I was the one that was going to visit him all the time. In preparation for our wedding, I really wanted this one specific makeup artist. Yeah, and both of our parents decided to pay for the wedding. Our budget for the wedding was $80,000, so it was a lot. The makeup artist I wanted was $3,000. I met with the makeup artist twice. This way we could try out 2 styles of makeup. We finally landed on one that I loved. The hairstylist charged me another $3,000. So my husband knew how much effort I put into my makeup and my hair. Before the wedding, I made him swear that he would not shove my face into the cake. And he agreed. Fast forward to cutting the cake. He pushed my face into the cake so hard, I almost got knocked out. Everyone ran over to me. Part 2 is up. I started doing the dirty, but I didn't realize that my mom was home. My mom was supposed to be at work. But apparently she came home early because she felt sick. So while me and my neighbor are upstairs full on doing the dirty, my mom is downstairs making lunch. That's when the door blasts open and it's my mom holding my lunch. I have no clothes on my bed. There was no way my mom was gonna buy that we were just hanging out. My mom throws the plate of food at my neighbor. He tries to calm my mom down and tells her that he's in love with me. But the way, I was not in love with him. I mean, I liked him, but I wasn't in love. I didn't know what to do, so I just started to cry. Suddenly, my mom calmed down. I have no idea what got into her, but she politely asked him to put on his clothes and leave. As he was getting dressed, my mom told him not to tell his mom anything, that we would keep this a secret. Once he leaves, my mom confesses to me that his mom and her are in a relationship. First off, I didn't even know that my mom swung that way. Then she asked me if I loved him. I had to lie and tell her that I did, so that she wouldn't find out the truth, that I only did it with him so that he could break up with his girlfriend to be with me. My mom gave us her blessing so that he and I could go out. Like I said, this was 10 years ago. Of course, he and I are no longer together, but my mom is still with his mom, so I see him all the time. He still begs me to be with him. Just broke up with my boyfriend, so I think I might give him a chance now. I mean, I did lose my V card to him, but he cheated on his girlfriend to be with me, and he's clingy. Do you guys think I should give him a chance? Story time about my mom caught me doing it with my neighbor. Once he started kissing me, we could not stop. I knew he had a girlfriend and I wanted to steal him away from her. So I thought, why not just do it with him so that he would leave her and be with me? That's when I took off his shirt, he took mine off, and things went from there. Let me just remind you that our moms are downstairs sleeping on the couch. Our hearts were racing and we were trying to do it as quickly as possible. By the way, I'm still a virgin at this point, and I just decided right then and there that I would just do it with him. I was being reckless as hell. That's when I hear footsteps coming up the stairs. We jump off each other and we just pretend we're talking. It was his mom coming in to tell him that they were going home. My plan worked though. He started messaging me nonstop, and he even blew off his girlfriend that same week to be with me. Told him we could do it the following day if our moms weren't home. His mom went out to run some errands, so I asked my mom to go run me an errand. Evil much? I told him to come over and it happened. And no, it was not good. It was actually terrible. Neither of us knew what we were doing and it hurt like hell. But after that, he was obsessed. Anytime my mom left my house, he would try to come over. One of the times he came over, he asked me if he should break up with his girlfriend. And I said, yeah, you probably should. Duh. He literally called her right then and there and told her that he didn't want to be with her anymore. Then he turns to me and asks me if I want to be his girlfriend. Just to make him more obsessed, I said no. I told him I wasn't ready for a relationship. Then he started begging. He couldn't believe I said no. But this is when we both mess up. We start doing it. Part 3 is up. Story time about my mom caught me doing it with my neighbor. This all happened 10 years ago. I was 7 years old. Okay, here's the thing. My dad had left my mom and I for another woman. So I was always desperate for male attention. And looking back, this is so terrible, especially for a teenage girl. New neighbor had moved in that summer. And let me tell you, I was obsessed from the moment I saw this boy. I became so obsessed because his window was right across from mine. It was like a movie. He would see me changing, I would see him changing. Of course, I never told my mom. And then my mom actually became friends with his mom. So they started coming over for dinners, and they were both single moms, so they connected on that too. Now, this boy didn't go to my school though, so we basically only saw each other whenever we were home. Okay, here's where things get messy. He had a girlfriend at his school. This did not stop him from flirting with me. He would stand in his window changing, and because he would come over to my house, he'd come up to my room and we'd just hang out. Both of our moms had a little too much wine one night, and he came up to my room and closed the door. As soon as he closed my door, I knew something was gonna happen. He asked me if I wanted a back massage, and I was like, yeah. As he's giving me this massage, he starts asking me why I don't have a boyfriend. And that's when I told him that I'm probably gonna get a boyfriend very soon, which is a total lie. See, I don't like anybody at my school. And that's when he told me that he would be really jealous if I got myself a boyfriend. So I turned around and told him, but you have a girlfriend, so you have no business getting jealous. That's when he grabbed my face and started kissing me. We made out for half an hour, while both our moms are passed out on the couch downstairs. I knew I needed to snatch him away from his girlfriend. What I did next is crazy. Go to part 2.